Good morning, it's Joyful Christian Hermit. Well, there are always ways that we can second guess ourselves, or there'll always be people out there second guessing us for us and drawing criticism or wondering or thinking, well, they could have done it this way or that way or whatever. But like I woke up this morning thinking, oh my goodness, did I overreact worrying about my neighbor? And of course, it would have been, unfortunately, could have been quite simple if I could have gone over myself and tried to get their garage door down, walk into their garage and push the button and try to run out. But I knew I couldn't do that because I can't run. Or to pound on the doors or around the back, walk around and check first. But I couldn't do that because of what the detective had told me 2 years ago. Had absolutely nothing to do because of the situation with the man. And yet I feel great empathy for the man. And I had also before that week, the week when he said the awful things to me, did the verbal sexual harassment that, I've lived many years. I've never been spoken to like that. It was gross. It was disgusting and very, very upsetting. But I kept my cool that week and did keep talking with the wife. He was gone and she kept wanting me to help her with gardening things. And I didn't mind helping her. Even after I knew that she could do things and was really just needing and wanting to maybe control a little bit, have some control over someone, because she did not at all over her husband. He definitely not. I saw that. But, and enabled him, in fact, without her realizing. Relationships can get so tricky. But I talked with her a lot about, and when she said how he was depressed because he didn't have any friends. This was a couple years ago, and I talked to her about church and about God, and even with doing things, I said, just pray, ask God to help you do things on your own, and He'll help you. That's how I do it. I said, I don't have anyone. I haven't had for years. Haven't had anyone to do things for me other than who I hire. And I can't afford that much. So I tried to talk to her about that. She says, well, everyone around here is Christian. And he feels embarrassed because he's Jewish. And I said, that doesn't matter. We're in the 21st century, and there's a temple around here somewhere. Go to the temple. Meet people through a temple, Jewish temple. Oh, well, excuses. But I tried that week to give suggestions and to encourage her. But it was really an untenable situation for me. And I was vulnerable, and I knew I was in trouble with them. And also, with my hermit vocation, there is a line that I watch, I guard, a boundary of not letting any one involvement become overly involved with friendships. I am here for God and for all people, but not to get occupied by any one person in any kind of particular friendship that takes a great deal of time. And so I just, need to keep boundaries and be for people who need, but not allow myself to be manipulated either. And because I need to keep time for communal, to be used by God for all, in a sense, and for whomever he chooses for short periods of time, and to retain my hermit vocation and my what God calls me to. So that's why I found in this book here. Well, here's another example of another hermit who is wants to start doing videos again. Lovely person, lovely hermit over in another country, but a year ago or something she gave away all her equipment, gave it away. Well, that's lovely, but now she needs it. Now she feels God calling her to do this again. So she started a GoFundMe. And it's not growing that quickly. I've noticed one person made a big donation. She's not asking for much. Not at all. Very, very modest amount. But to get video equipment or probably a laptop, I don't know what all she needs. But I had sold some things. And I thought, well, I'm going to use that money to help her. But my bank won't do the transaction because it's overseas. They keep doing a fraud alert and won't let it go through. So I'm going to try a different bank. I have two different banks. And one's larger. One was more of a local bank, Midwest Bank. So, and they're the ones that put a block. So I'm going to try again. But I mentioned to that person, that I've read in the past that, if you're going to give away something that's worth something, wait a year before you do so. Put it away to make sure you're really to do that. And as a hermit, I'm not really in a position to give away everything. I've given away lots of things, but when I get in a position where I need cash, like my truck repairs were very high, and I'm still dealing with that. So here I had these things that the family member gave me. Oh, just take it to a thrift shop, put it in the trash dumpster, do whatever you want with it. I can't deal with it. I'm too busy. I can't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. Well, I needed money, so I'm selling it online. And as a hermit, you would think, well, that sort of goes against, what a hermit ought to be doing with his or her time. Selling things through Facebook Marketplace and with people in the area. But I view it as a means to get myself out of trouble without asking others to bail me out. So, or starting a GoFundMe or something that also then puts me out there. And some people might not understand that, what's this hermit doing with a GoFundMe? So, because people are very judgmental out there. And especially when it comes to hermits, anybody religious, and their own perceptions of what a hermit ought to be, or that there shouldn't even be hermits, how ridiculous. So, but it does, though, cause me to have to spend time posting the items, answering the, do you still have this? Give my address, then they come. And I'm in a safe area, so fairly safe, so I don't worry too much about it. But then there's an interaction with different people, and some could think, well, that's not hermit, you're supposed to be in solitude. However, I turn all to God, and I use that as an opportunity to be kind to the person, and I can cut the price lower than a thrift shop would. I give wonderful deals to people, but I make a little bit of money, and the little bit adds up. And then I can help her, that other hermit, and I can help keep paying off my truck debt and send money to Father Vincent in Nigeria with anything I make too. So it's just how we look at it if we turn all to God. And when the people come, I make it a point of being very pleasant, and of they don't know I'm a hermit, and of I always inquire something of them, or let them talk. Then I always have something to pray about for the person, and it's a very positive thing. That I turn it to God, I turn it to good, I turn it to holiness and to prayer, even though it's not traditionally, it's not something that you would think a hermit would do. And on the island, I needed money. I put my produce out with a donation clay jar, and sometimes people would want to talk, and that was fine if they'd seen me out there when they were coming along to check what I had out for the day. But that money really came in handy, and it added up. It really added up. It wasn't enough for me to, pay off all I owed of people who lent me money or even gave me money. Even if they gave me money to help me bail me out of the mess I got myself into with that house on the island, God turned it all to good. In the end, I made far more than I ever dreamed I could, and it turned out far better than it was miraculous. Here I didn't know I was doing, but these lovely people would teach me, and I gave them money then after I sold it. I was giving money out, thank you money, to people who helped me, even teaching me how to do things. So who were kind and good, encouraging, put up with me when I would be depressed and sobbing about how was I ever going to get out of that mess I'd gotten into. And so it all works out, and either way we go is fine. Because this person doing the GoFundMe then will meet people that way. And maybe we'll reconsider. And I wrote on her site, what I had read about hanging on to valuable things for like a year. Even that sort of goes against the hermit. You can think, well, God will always take care of me. Well, but do we want to do it by having to do a GoFundMe? Or like me, in such desperation that people felt sorry for me and lent me money. My own spiritual father sent me money, lots of money that had been given to him over the years by parishioners and things who would say, here, Father, use this for some Catholic in need. And he had saved all this money, and he sent me this check that just blew me away. And he said, you're certainly a Catholic in need now. And indeed I was. But I felt guilty because it was, I should have known better. But it all turned out for good. I learned many skills. I learned a lot of I learned total dependency on God. There were times that, there was nowhere to look but to God. I was very isolated there, taken advantage of by islanders right and left, so I couldn't hire or trust them. But then I would have lovely islanders who would post things on Facebook that they were even giving away. Lovely things that I could get then. And made the pole barn into a show place also. So, which helped the sales price. And had I been able to afford to live there, and had I had a doctor on the doctors on the island, I think they thought I was a druggie, and they refused to give me any more pain medication. So I ended up leaving that island with 3 little pills, And fortunately, my daughter got me into someone here the very next day that I arrived. And fortunately, he gave me a month prescription. And she explained, she went with me and said, trust, my mother has terrible pain. We didn't know it was arachnoiditis then. None of the neurosurgeons I had seen for 32 years spotted it. It takes a sharp neurosurgeon, a really good one to notice. But anyway, the hermit life and who we deal with, it just goes to show exactly what this essay commentary writes. It's called Solitudo Pluralis, solitary or solitude, but in community. It's a combination of both. And we're in communion with others always. We're in the church. Even if I had been healthy and didn't need to be near a doctor or hospitals, and it could have gone, I would have loved to have had a place in the Midwest on a few acres out far with the woods and have just a little hut, one of these little tiny houses or an RV. I would have loved to have been in an RV, a little RV, right out in the middle of a woods. But it wasn't safe. Wouldn't be safe in our time period for an older woman. Even in my calm little hometown out in the country, some kids thought that this older man who lived alone, thought that rumor was he dealt drugs, and they were druggies, and they went there and they killed him and ransacked looking for the drugs they thought were there. It reminded me of Saint Seraphim. He lived in a hut in the woods in the 1800s, Russia, and or Siberia, somewhere. He was in the Russian area. And rumor was that he had a bag of gold in his hut. And they went and they beat him nearly to death and couldn't find any gold at all. He didn't have any gold. But that ruined his health. And he had to go back into his monastery. They found him there. He didn't come in for some supplies. And so they went out and checked, and he was there nearly dead. They brought him back. It took months to nurse him back to any kind of health. And his superior wouldn't allow him to go back out. Too dangerous. And he wasn't in strong enough condition anymore. So that was a tremendous sacrifice for him to have to live in the monastery the rest of his life. So, you have to be prudent about these things. And yes, it's a wonderful ideal. It seems so good to have just a stripped down existence. But if you need money, then what are you going to do? Well, you rely on God, you say. But, there's this adage that God says, rely on yourself. I've heard that before. If you're in trouble, get yourself out of it. God gives you the means also. So I had this stuff given to me to use, and I have stuff I don't need here myself. Stuff that I accumulated, and also stuff that my mother gave me. When she split up, when she it's family things, but some of it no one wants. And other items were practical items that she had kept that were nice and thought I would want, but I can sell those. Like she had a 12 place setting of stainless steel. Well, I just need one of each, I don't need 12. I took it, I used it. It was supposed to go to my son, but he doesn't want anything. And so that I could sell. See, initially, when I first got rid of things from my one house in the Midwest, I gave it all to the thrift shop. including a table saw that my kids had bought me. But I thought, well, I'm not going to do woodwork anymore at that phase. And I didn't wait long enough. Within a year, there I was. I could have used it. But I'd given it away, this gift they'd given me, to the thrift shop. All this nobility I felt that I was donating all these items, cleared out my house, just giving stuff away right and left. How good was I? That's the hermit. Give it all away. Well, then I needed income. Then what? And I needed the table saw. Ended up having to buy one. And then, however, though, I went back. I had another load of stuff for the thrift shop, and a volunteer off the street who was helping with this St. Vincent de Paul, he had taken that table saw, sold it, they thought, for drugs. So it didn't even go for them to earn any money off that really nice table saw. And that taught me something too. If they were going to just let things be out and let anyone come in to help, which was a nice gesture, you'd think, but it wasn't prudent. What I donated had been stolen, and also I donated a lot to a Catholic high school auction. But the people who came around picking up this Catholic couple, I found out they took my nice things from my mother, all her nice home goods and things, took them to their barn and had a sale there and sold all the good stuff that I donated for themselves. Well, someone said, well, maybe they needed the money. Well, maybe they did, but that wasn't right. It was being donated. They should have said, well, you donated to us to make money on it instead of to the school. No, I was donating for the school that needed money. So, things like that happen. So I thought, I'm the thrift shop, and I can do much good with it. And at least I know where the money will be going. It'll be going to Nigeria. It'll go to pay off my truck and help this other hermit, if I can get the bank to get the money to allow me to donate to an overseas GoFundMe. If not, I'll pray that other people will, to help her get her equipment so she can be online again, do her videos that she wants to do. But it's always that was a prudent thing I read years ago. It was someone who was in finance and also in home management, and said, don't be rash with, and my parents always too brought me up, don't be rash. I have a tendency to do that, and I've made many mistakes being rash. But that did make sense. Something of value, hang on for at least a year. And then, then if you really don't need it or don't want it or not going to use it again, then sell it or donate it if you want. But also you need to look up these different organizations that are thrift shops. And a lot of them have people on the boards that are taking salaries, rich people who are on the board of directors of like Goodwill. And they're only 20% or 18% ever gets to the poor people. The rest goes for their overhead, their employees, and the biggest chunk to the board of directors. So giving away things isn't always so grandiose or holy if we're going to end up needing it. I think it's better to be prudent and to just take our time and make sure that we can make our own ends meet. That's important. And on the island, I felt so terrible, beholden on other people to help get me out of that I got into. And of course, I worked myself silly too. I did all I could myself. And paid it all back and then some. I added more than what they gave me. I will give back to others for their kindness. It was a cautionary tale I'm giving you. The dogs are doing this again. I'll stop and just start this with the next video. They're going in their crates because they know they do this for attention. They're smart little doggies. They want my attention a lot. God bless you all.